What's up, everybody? How's it going, everybody? How's it going? Come on in, pull up a chair, have a seat. It's going to be a really, really good show tonight. I'm just finishing a couple little housekeeping things. Take me 2 seconds. How's everybody doing today? If you're over on Facebook, please make sure you hit that thumbs up. And if you're over here on YouTube, make sure you throw those thumbs up. It's going to be a great show tonight. I have an amazing friend here. I'm very excited about her being here today, Miss Becca. And she's going to kind of go over some things of what she's been through, how she got through it, and what she's doing now to help, because that's the most important thing, right? This new series that I'm doing, and I find it to be very effective. I've gotten tons of emails and tons of encouraging words from people saying, hey, thanks for covering this. This is some things I've been through, or things like that. So I'm very, very honored anytime any of my friends, thank you, Becca, for coming today, decide to grace me with their present and with their story, because I think when people share with you what they've been through, I think it's an honor. I think that we should take it very serious. I think that it's very, I don't know, man, it's a beautiful thing because, I mean, let's face it, we've all been through things. And I'm glad that I know so many overcomers and so many warriors and so many amazing people that we can, we have been through some things, but that's not what we are now. And so, what's up, girl? How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing just fine. I'm excited that you let me do this with you.
Oh, girl, I'm honored, like, for real. Like, I think you're amazing. So I'm just very honored that you reached out. I was like, most definitely. Are you kidding me?
Yes, I think that you are amazing. The things that you do in the community is phenomenal angel work.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
It really is. So I'll just start off by saying I'm Becca. I am not from here in Louisville, Kentucky, but I have lived here since August of 2014. I will be 28 next year in February. I'm still very young, but have seen and experienced quite a bit in my short amount of time here.
So let me ask you this before we get into the nuts and bolts of everything.
Please go ahead. Cut in.
So what do you think about Louisville? How is how is your, before we get into the crazy, the good stuff? How you like it? Learning a lot?
I do. I really, really love it here. One of I would say my top favorite thing about this city is the community.
Yeah.
I have met some of the most amazing people I could have met in my whole life. There's so many amazing people that are genuinely interested in every day becoming better humans, helping anyone in the community, including, complete strangers. There are so many amazing outreach groups, including, Women of the Well Ministries, especially Miss Summer.
Thank you.
Jeff with Hip Hop Cares,
yeah.
And I've spent some time volunteering with Jeff as well. And it was just really awesome to come from a very small town to here, which was, I'm sure you can assume was definitely a little bit of a culture shock.
Probably.
But Louisville was always a part of my life, though, because I had family that lived up here, but, I wasn't in Louisville experiencing it. I was just here for family, doctor's appointments,
right,
things like that. But this was the closest city from my hometown, and I just had bigger things I wanted to do, things I wanted to learn and accomplish that I couldn't there. And yeah, so the community is, oh my gosh, we have phenomenal people here. Not everyone is a bad person,
right?
And what even is a bad person, right?
Yeah, just people's been through some things.
That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite thing here, and I do love it. I do love
Yeah.
it very.
Well, we love having you. You know, Louisville is a very resilient city. And we really, I think we're a good example of when it looks like, you know, and don't get me wrong, we all know Louisville has our issues, you know, but
Right.
the learning of community and just truly being there for each other and helping where we can, and, you know, finding things that we can do to where we don't have to rely so much on things that maybe are not really in place, set up just yet to help everybody, you know. So
Exactly.
so I love, that is one thing that I do love about our community, is that we have a beautiful community. All right,
Yeah.
so what would you like to share with us tonight? Tell us a little bit, kind of, maybe whatever you would like. You do not have to go into graphic detail about things. You can say whatever it is you choose to say, because this is your story. But I just want you to know that, like, you know, you don't have to do that, because the more it's important, it's good to lay a gist of, like, hey, this is kind of what I've been through a little bit, and this is kind of how I got through it, and this is what's motivating me to, you know, be the woman, beautiful, amazing woman that you are today, which I think is great. So I'll let you kind of start with that.
Yeah. I'm definitely not going to go into too much detail because I definitely do not want to cause any triggers
Right.
for anybody that's really not in a very good place right now. But I will definitely be saying some things that are quite mentioning some things that are quite intense, but not going into detail, just because I think it's important for people to know that it's okay. And it's also important to talk about, to get support talking about some of the most horrific things, because some of the most horrific things are the hardest things to talk about, and it's good to seriously get that out of yourself. You cannot keep things bottled in.
Uh-huh.
As hard as it might be, and some people, you know, they not some people, but just sometimes it's really hard to find someone that you even can get things out to.
Right. And that's kind of, you know, like, obviously, most of us kind of work through our stories a little bit, hopefully, before we start telling our stories. Unfortunately, when I very first got out of everything, that's not how it kind of worked. I got kind of thrown in to just a couple of months after, like, serious trauma happening. And so, but it gave me the idea of, once, you know, we kind of get to a good spot, right, ripping that band-aid off, right, because your scabs don't heal if that band-aid's on there, baby, you know. So we get some air to it, we let it out, we, in a mature,
Yes.
you know, in a educational, in a great way, you know, like, the things that we've been through and happened to us don't have to hold us in bondage, or, you know, have to be the rest of our life, or the rest of our story, for that matter. So so again, yeah, I'm definitely appreciated.
Yeah, and it's also as sadly, bittersweetly, as most of us know, the systems that we have in place are failing us individuals, communities as a whole, severely failing us, whether it be, you know, the education system, criminal justice system, et cetera, et cetera. And that definitely, failure of the system definitely played a part in me having such a horrific time in earlier childhood. And, you know, some people, it's hard to rip that Band-Aid off and get air whenever you really don't have the resources to heal. I
Yeah.
mean, in order for us to recover mentally and physically, our basic human rights need to be given to us. What human rights, right? So, you know,
Sounds easy, right? Sounds like
right,
it makes sense.
right. You know,
Sorry.
you need food, you need shelter, you need a support system. You know, none of us can do this all alone.
Right.
No, it's human connection, genuine human connection is so important. And yeah, so it's tough whenever you don't have the resources to even heal mentally or physically. And I am so lucky and happy to be alive and well today and have a support system, have a home, have a dog, have food, because I would probably, not even probably, for a 100% fact, I would not be here right now without my support system.
Right. I agree 100%.
It's
100%.
It's the things that happen to us can really, really take a toll on your brain. And learning how the brain works, with like going to school, learning from other people, us as a society learning more about how our body and brain work together also, has also helped with my recovery journey, recovering enough to where it is not bogging me down every second of the day, where I can live, a life where I can help other people and smile.
Right. 100%. 100%. And it really is. And that, like, I think it was like yesterday when I was doing a show, at the end of it, I said, it's important for survivors to have a voice and have a seat at the table in advocacy or whatever it is that we're doing, right? Because when we're able to get to a certain spot, and then reach back and then pull that next person up, and then that continues. And without survivors of domestic violence, survivors of human trafficking, survivors of rape, which I'm on social media, so I have to say it that way.
Right.
Just survivor recovery, right? Like even addiction, things like that. Like, it's cool to have somebody, and I always say, like, my heart goes out to our allies, right? Our allies that have never been through these kind of certain things, and then decide to get involved and help, right? Because our trauma is real, and it's a lot. We can be a lot to deal with at times. And so I love that. But seeing survivors of whatever it may be, homelessness, whatever, getting past that, and then getting those resources. And because another thing is, when you have a survivor in that position, right, then we can reach back and go, hey, wait a minute, I know this person's saying everything's okay, but I know the lack of resources is going to keep this person stuck. So let's do what we can to make sure we come around and get people the help and support that they need. And I think the more of us that take those front lines, it also lets people that are sitting at home or that might be watching a show later or anything like that go, wow, you know what? There's some crazy ladies in Louisville, Kentucky that, have overcame some things, and maybe, maybe as frustrating as it gets and as alone as I feel, because I think that's something important to talk about. We've all in our journey, and probably even in healing, felt alone at times. Even when you have a room, I always say, like, I've been in a room full of people and felt by myself many times.
Yes.
Right. And so, so I think it's just beautiful when we have that, like when we have that unfortunate pain and tragic, and then we can turn it into something that actually is effective and not only helps ourselves, but then helps other people.
Yes. And it's important to feel seen, not just you going and talking to, I don't know, a counselor of some sort, or someone working for the state that is supposed to be helping you get some resources that you need, et cetera, et cetera. It's one thing to talk to someone, but to really feel seen, the eye contact, the way that you speak to people, the words that you use, the validation, it is, if people do not feel seen, they just lose hope that there's not enough people to talk to. And that's one thing that I'm very, I've always been very naturally great at that, but I think that I am really great at active listening and making people really feel seen, because not only because of what I've went through, but I am genuinely interested in what other people are saying and what they've been through. And there's not much that anybody can tell me that is going to surprise me at this point. And I I want to understand. I want to know multiple people's perspectives and understand why people do what they do. That's, I don't know, it's just humans just intrigue me very much. And because of just that interest that I have, it the amount of people that I have been able to connect with is just so enormous, that sometimes it's also hard for other people to understand, like, how do you talk to these people? How can you stand to listen to this? How can you empathize with this person? You know, it's hard for other people to understand, especially if they have not experienced some of the trauma that you and I have.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. And you know, and it's, I think that once we realize, non-survivors and survivors realize that all of us have a part to play in all of this. You know what I mean? And some things, some people are super empathetic and just have that gift of gab to where they could just talk to people and understand, and other people have, you know, just, we all have our special gifts, and that's something that,
Exactly. Yeah.
and that's why that community, as we would speak of in the survivor, you know, world, is so important, especially to us, because if there's something I don't know, I can be like, hey sis, because, you know, I don't know everything. It may look like I may have things figured out, but 90% of the time I'm winging it, you know. And it's because I have an amazing resource team, whether it's on any of my social medias, whether it's, you know, in, you know, whatever, however I get to be like, hey, I don't get this, let's figure this out, you know. So once everybody understands that they all have a part to play, and that, you know, like, we've all been through some things, you know what I mean? It's not a competition. It's not a, you know, like, just because everybody, you know, I've noticed sometimes too, like, people will be, we may go through similar things, right? There are, you know, trafficking, domestic violence, sexual assault, whatever, but the experiences are going to be different. That doesn't mean that one's better or less or more traumatized, or, no, I'm going to say that all of our traumas, probably the feelings of it are the same. So the actions might have been different, but the way, the loneliness, the doubting yourself, the, you know, suicidal, all of it, you know, the depression, anxiety, all of it, it comes with it, even with the actions are different. And so we all have something very unique. But when you can overcome stuff like that, you know, like, and like, for real, like, you know, like, take it by the balls and then help other people, I think it's amazing. I think it's beautiful. And I think each person is different. Some are more outspoken. I curse, I'm loud, we all know that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a hot mess. And other people are, you know, very well spoken. They you know, whatever. And I think that's what makes us so beautiful, is because we're all this entwined, you know, dysfunctional, beautiful, healing, unique, beautiful creatures that are just doing some pretty amazing things in our community and across the world, you know, because I mean, this show reaches out to women. We had people from Canada on here. We've had people from everywhere, so it's beautiful, and men, and I just love when these opportunities. So we kind of, which is good. We've got into that a little bit. What is it, just so the audience has a little bit of you know, kind of backstory. And again, as much as little, but like, what are you a survivor of? If you don't mind me asking. I know, but
absolutely. That's what I'm here for. So, oh goodness. The things that go on in Louisville, still the same exact things go on in smaller towns.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it is, you know, my father doing hard drugs with the sheriff, you know, sex offenders in the school system, gun violence, especially, people stealing cars, you know. I mean, it's just all the same things go on in small towns, and sometimes it's easier to get away with some things down there. I shouldn't say down there, but in more rural area,
right.
And so I experienced a lot in my small town. So growing up, I had a abusive father. It's really sad because my father was also abused as a child, both by his parents, horrific sexual abuse, and then everyday traumas that we deal with, loved ones passing away tragically, et cetera, et cetera. And my parents were relatively young whenever they had me, under 26 years old. And I definitely don't feel like I am in a place right now to have children. It's just, you're young and you're recovering from your own childhood. So not to make a huge excuse
Oh yeah,
for
I get it.
the things that were done and said, but I do understand that hurt people hurt people. And understanding that has helped me move on with my life as well, into bigger and better things. My father, he had a lot of access to some weapons and such that I don't quite understand how he had a hold of. And that's really interesting. And those weapons were used against other people and my mother. My mom is such a badass for how strong she was to be the bigger person, not succumb to serious revenge, and putting me and my sibling first to give us a better life. And I have great grandparents on my mom's side as well that were, helping my mom and me and my sibling as well. But I mean, we experienced so much, whether it be, even fire abuse,
Right.
Fire abuse, witnessing animal abuse, because one thing that a lot of us know is people will perform acts on animals that they want to do to humans.
Yep.
So things like that were a big part. I almost watched my father kill someone too whenever I was probably around 5 or 6 years old, and that was horrific to watch. Guns to my mother's head. I mean, just really, really horrible things to grow up in that environment. I mean, just unspeakable things. And then lack of help in the community. Judges telling you, oh, it's not, what you're saying is he's your husband, so he's your husband. It's not rape, for example. And this is just a part of life. You got to deal with it. Or, just really, really messed up things. Or social workers especially were not helpful either. So I ended up stuck having my father having partial visitations, custody for a number of years, no matter what we said in court, no matter what we told our counselors. And so the system has failed me in every way possible for so long, that I am so happy that the community here, communities other places, are doing things that the system is not.
Right. Yes. Because, and like you were speaking, all that trauma, right? That's what I hear a lot of, right? And these are things that a lot of people go through. Like a lot of children, unfortunately, see things that they should never see. There's a lot of things that, when you're kids, childhood trauma is very real, and it really can mess up a whole lot of things. And so it's really, and you're right, it is absolutely beautiful. And yes, in rural counties and rural towns, sometimes not only is it just as bad, but could be worse in some areas, in some situations, because that system, right, that whole system's at play. And so it's
The
really
good old
hard.
boys system.
Exactly, the good old boys. You said it, baby. I was going to, but but that's it. The good old boy system, right? Because you have, everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's dirty secrets because they're all in
Yes, ma'am.
cahoots together. And so then you're the victim of a domestic violence or a victim of a rape or something like that. You're not going to get the resources and help, So and unfortunately, that's sad, right? And a lot of people move out, and then one thing I will say that I think is beautiful in the last couple of years that I've been noticing is slowly but surely, even in those little rural counties, we are starting to get some resources in there. It's slow and it's taken longer than I would probably like for it to be. Obviously, because you all know me, I'm like, come on, I can't. This should happen now,
I
But
know.
but I mean, as we all know, one thing we know about corrupt systems, we definitely know that about here in Louisville, and so we are learning how to operate and work around that, and that's
Yeah.
creating those resources and creating those things. And as we were talking earlier, and as we were talking, earlier today, I love that because you know what it's like to not have resources. You know what I mean? You know what it's like to see your family and just different crazy things happen and it affects you. Um, what do you think in all of that not only did you get out of things and help be able to help yourself, right? But then to be able to go to that next step, because there's nothing wrong with any survivors that are like, you know what? I've gotten to a place now where I can live a normal life and I'm going to just have me a family, or I'm just going to have me a dog and a plant, or I'm just going to chill and enjoy life. And there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
But for those that I believe that, like yourself and myself, that have been through hell and decide, you know what, we're going to take this beast on, because in itself, it's a beautiful beast, but it is a beast in itself at times because you deal with a lot of trauma from when you're helping and different things. So I mean,
Yes.
what made you want to go down that route, the route that and what are you doing now,
Yeah.
and what made you go down that route now? I guess is what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah, and I definitely don't want to make other certain people feel guilty for not maybe sometimes people feel like they're not doing enough.
Right.
We all have our own amounts of energy that we can dedicate to certain things. We have to focus on ourselves, and if we're not focusing on ourselves, we are not able to do what we need to do for other people. So yes, I don't want to make other people feel sad for not.
Well, I think it's not even making them feel bad, because I don't think we're doing that. I think I encourage, it takes a crazy person, right, to go through so much stuff. Let's just be honest. And there's nothing. I encourage people all the time. They're like, "Oh, Miss Summer, I would love to do the stuff you do," and I'm like, "You know what, baby? You know what I would love to do? Some days I would just love to be able to do nothing." And not have a phone call and not have to worry, about whatever. And don't get me wrong, I love what I do, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's when you live when your whole life from childhood on has been straight chaos, so please, no one feel bad. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel, love you. You became free. You survived the terrific things you went through. That is the most beautiful. I just think that's the most beautiful thing. So if anybody is watching this or watch this later, like, appreciate the grass, appreciate the quietness whenever you can finally get to that spot and do that. Because most of us, as Michelle said, in the middle of the night, the demons still scream, to the point that I thought I could take it to the end 100%. And that's something that I think sometimes, and I'm not going to lie to anybody, like, I deal with that stuff all the time still, not nearly as much as I used to. And it's gotten a lot better with work and resources and help. But I might, I'll walk in a nightmare. Most of us will not walk in a nightmare from time to time, so enjoy those moments that you can rest and that you can enjoy good friends and you have people that you trust, and, enjoy that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I encourage that.
Yeah, like, we didn't we didn't choose to be born. We didn't choose to be here. We just happened to be here, and you are able to survive and thrive. Like I don't think that we are here in this existence, this universe to work our lives away or anything like that. We are here to just exist. We deserve to be alive and just exist. If you're going to choose to keep existing, then it's definitely good to there's times that multiple times I've wanted to unalive myself. Or even not even wanting to, just sometimes your brain takes over, your muscles just take over, and I just feel like if I'm going to continue to choosing to be here like I want to be, my purpose just feels, if I'm not helping someone, talking to someone, giving some kind of love, I feel so pointless. And so also so I went through lots of therapy, a crisis stabilization unit, went through trauma, into my teen years. One of my friends was hit and killed by a drunk driver. Throughout my childhood, I don't particularly like to use the word assaulted, molested, because this girl was around 2 years older than me, and it was a family friend's daughter who was doing things to me that were not particularly okay or normal. But I am now aware in my adult life that things were done to her. She learned that behavior from somewhere. She was probably abused herself. Just the confusion of growing up. Lots of therapy, lots of other traumas and such, but I have had some amazing therapists, some amazing peer support specialists, amazing family support, and gosh, a traumatized person trying to raise traumatized children is such a hard job. Such a hard job. All you parents that have done this, including my freaking mother, you guys are just amazing and an inspiration. So healing myself, healing with my family, us healing together, sticking together, protecting each other.
That's beautiful. I love that.
I now feel that my purpose feels to just love other people, help other people. I am, like we discussed in our messages earlier, but for everybody else, I am going to, let's see, let me start first with I've worked in management. I've worked in healthcare now, and I've learned and seen a lot. And I feel like I am in a good place and ready to follow my dreams, which include helping other people, whether that be personally, everyday interactions. But especially, I'm involved in the peer support specialist program through one of the mental health services here in Louisville.
So, for anybody that doesn't know what a peer
Yes.
support specialist is, can you please, because they're very, very important, can you please explain to for those that people may not know?
Yeah. So a peer support specialist is a person who has had firsthand experience themselves in any type of trauma, mental, dealing with mental illness, physical illnesses, and that have been in recovery themselves. And are willing to share their stories and help other people and empathize, share your story and help people meet their goals. So not particularly, not exactly a therapist, not giving advice, telling people what to do or anything like that. You are there to help people meet their goals and be a hand to hold, whether you are going to AA meetings with this person, or you're helping them get housing. You are connecting them to resources, just listening, making sure that they have transportation to get to their appointments, therapy, et cetera, et cetera. Really like a paid friend, a paid mentor, basically. Yeah, and it's important to be trained because you need to know how to talk to people. And gosh, there's just so many things that go into it. But yeah,
I think that was a very, very good. I think it's a very good, definition of it. Because and it's important, right? Because when you're on that early stages of recovery, on whether it be drugs, trauma, whatever, just to have that extra person there, that peer support specialist that is trained into knowing certain things and how to de-escalate certain situations and just how to be there to show up, you know what I mean? And be that assistant to you. Because sometimes going to appointments and going to AA meetings and just doing different things it's weird by yourself. You know what I mean? So having somebody like you and other people is amazing.
Yeah.
Somebody named Jess, she said, "I love you, Becca. You're so strong."
Oh, I don't know who you are, but I have so much love for you as well. Jess, you said?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so also, this is still like a very taboo topic, and while I am about to talk about that, I'm actually gonna grab my phone charger real quick. I swear, like the last iPhone update has just ruined my phone. Go Apple, right? One of those amazing companies.
No, you're good, girl.
Right. So my phone battery is.
Sorry, y'all, but I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. It's real life around here.
Than it was.
I was trying to do it off camera, but then I felt weird because I'm like, no, I want to look at her, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna have a cigarette. I'm gonna have a cigarette, you guys. It's real life around here, baby. Right. Jess said, "I know Becca since freshman year. She's honestly such a genuine and honest person. Her story is such a powerful one. Yes, 100%. Yeah, I have to agree with you, Jess. She's special. Becca, you're just very sweet. You know what I mean? And you have this beautiful spirit about you. And it just, again, goes to show how strong and how beautiful survivors are. Because, we don't look like what we've been through, honey. You know what I mean? And to still have that light, to still have that just beautiful glow. I think it's amazing. So,
yeah, I have, after doing particular jobs and what I've been through, I have realized that clearly, no matter what has happened, like, you can't dim this sunshine.
Come on, boy.
I mean, like, this is not going anywhere at all.
Right. And and that's the thing too. And we have to remind ourselves, because when you're going through those storms, you're just like, but then something clicks and you're like, no, I'm going to get up. I'm still fighting. So I get that 100%. So
yeah, and
kudos to you and your sunshine.
Thank you. And I empathize with other people so much that I really genuinely feel hurt for other people. And whenever I'm feeling down or think about what I've been through, I think also about, wow, there are some people in way worse situations than that have way less resources and help than I do. And if I feel the way I do, there's no telling what it feels like to live in their in their shoes.
Right. Right. And
And,
I think when you've been through things, I don't know, it's one of those things that I've noticed people that have been through a lot of things. It's kind of our gift. We have like two serious
yeah,
gifts. One is discernment, that gut instinct that kind of just keeps us alive, at least in my situation. And
yeah.
then also just that I can feel everything, which is a blessing and a curse, right? Because
Oh my gosh, yes,
it's a
Summer.
beautiful thing. It's beautiful to be able to really truly empathize and be like, I can feel what you're feeling right now. But and then again, in the same sense, it's like, man, I can feel what you're feeling right now, so
Yes, and I think that the best way to turn that into a positive more than a negative is realizing that you have this gift and the good things that come with it, but also taking care of yourself, having safe boundaries, knowing that you cannot save every person, which people remind me all the time, especially whenever I get so infuriated with things we could do so much better as a city, as a state, as a country, as a world. We could do so much better, and here we are. So I'm
right,
trying to be patient and just do what I can, and just lead by example best I can. Having to keep myself strong, because if I'm not keeping strong and letting it bog me down so much, then I can't help other people. So yeah, empathizing with other people is definitely a chore that you have to you can't overdo it. You have to have boundaries and take care of yourself.
boundaries. That's a beautiful thing, ain't it? It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard to keep, but it's really the most critical thing in advocacy and light work and just it period. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
boundaries and they're hard. It was very hard. That's a hard thing for me to learn, but I'm getting better at it. And
Same.
at first I would like when I was setting those boundaries, I'm like, it would tear me up. But in the bigger picture, I'm way more effective. I'm way more, so yes, boundaries are very important, people.
Yeah,
Very
and
much.
also, you know, you may feel like you're not doing enough, or someone may be trying to push your boundaries, or try to get you to extend yourself further than you're able to. That happens, but in my experiences, most people are understanding.
Yes.
They understand. There is a man that I have spent some time with that is actually housed now, thankfully. But he was unhoused whenever we met, and he just asked for the smallest amount of help, and we just talked and talked and talked. And he has severe mental illness, but oh my gosh, he has a heart of gold. And sometimes I feel so guilty walking away, getting in my car, having my phone, and driving away. But this person understands,
Right.
also, and is not like, oh yeah, screw her having a car and a phone and blah blah
Right.
blah.
Well,
even in a very severe mental state, that is.
But you just listening, that is priceless. You know what I mean? As someone that's on the streets and does, work on the streets a lot, that's really the biggest gift sometimes, because sometimes, especially people on the street, people just walk past them and don't think a second about it, and so just having someone to sit there, and I get told that, Miss Summer, thank you for just listening. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can't, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing at the moment, as much as I would love to, there's nothing in that moment that I can do better than just shutting my mouth and listening. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big thing that you're doing there. So, and I'm sure he appreciates that.
Eye contact is so important as well. And, a lot of us may be uncomfortable with eye contact because of experiences or different neurological reasons. But eye contact with people makes people feel so seen, or people who have not had someone look them in the eyes for days, months. I mean, it really hurts to not be even slightly glanced at. It is,
Right.
and you can't acknowledge every person. You can't talk to every single person. Like, that's totally understandable. But there are so many things that you can do, the smallest things that we all can do that are going to make a huge difference. And, I may, be walking away after a particular interaction and I just have tears in my eyes. Like, I just hate leaving this person, but I know that I am doing the best that I can.
Right. Yep.
Yes. So, definitely. One thing that I wanted to discuss, because it's very taboo.
Yes. Let's get into it.
Yes. Yes. Stigma, stereotypes, all those things. We have to, I think everybody needs to reevaluate what they believe about certain things, about certain people. We need to work on self-awareness, not making so many assumptions and judgments or having emotional reactions, because you can relate to people better whenever you do that, but also can learn a lot. So one thing that I have been interested in for years and have actually started working towards is touch therapy, professional cuddling, whatever you want to call it. There's people like to use different terms, but it is not a replacement of mental health. Psychiatry is not a replacement of that, but an extra resource, just like we had chiropractic care, massage, Reiki therapy, things like that. It's just another extension for help. And, it's not going to be right for every single person. Some people may need more trauma work before they're even able to be in a room alone with anybody, or even have someone just poke them. Like, sometimes whenever people are talking, they touched each other without consent. And, sometimes you may do that to the wrong person and re-traumatize them, send them into a panic attack. It's not for everybody at all. But cuddle therapy can help with those things also. Learning consent, even just learning boundaries for yourself, being able to say, hey, I feel uncomfortable whenever you have done this to me, or please, or, even, for example, bodily autonomy rights, forcing hugs on people instead of asking, are you a hugger? Would you like a hug? Are you comfortable with a hug? And if you are, I'm here. If not, I'm perfectly okay with that. But sometimes we need a hug, or,
and that's actually, and I just want to say, that's actually a real thing, because there are days, anyone that knows me physically, that especially has been around me in like real life, there are days that I'm a hugger, some days I'm like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And then there's days someone will hug me and I feel so bad when I used to feel bad. Now I understand that that's good for me to have that boundary, but people would go to hug me and I'd be like, no, don't touch me. You know what I mean? Like, because just some days I could deal with it, and some day, and they'd be like, and then finally they got to figure it out. They're like, okay, wait a minute. And so they say, hey, Summer, are you cool today to hug? And I'm like, yes, today. And it did make a difference with somebody saying, hey, Summer, are you cool with giving a hug today? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I am actually okay with giving a hug today. And then on days that I'm not, I'm like, no, please don't touch me. You know what I mean? Like, so that is a very real thing that people struggle with. And we shouldn't make people feel bad when they set that boundary or they feel uncomfortable, so be mindful. And I know it's, everybody's it's kind of a natural thing sometimes for people, but you do have to be mindful, because there are triggers and trauma that it does bother people at times.
Oh, yes. And different neurological reasons why someone is not comfortable with touch, eye contact, etc. Like I said earlier, Yeah, and so I also would like to speak to, because of trauma myself. Wow. It is so important to treat children like they are their own person. They are not property. They are not there for you to control or make every single decision for them. Some children, they do not want to be tickled. You should
Right.
not, or you should not, even if you're a very close family member, a parent, you should not just always assume they want to hug this person, like, oh, hug your grandma, bye. Be like, would you like a hug, bye?
Right.
Things like that. And how, after working, so in healthcare, working with children, patients and their families see that example, that how I treat them and their children, how aware I am of what it is like to be a child, especially a traumatized child. I
Yes.
was, like, oh, come sit on my lap, give me a kiss on the cheek, oh, you rub my kisses off, or just
Yeah.
there was a time, and I hated being tickled as a kid. I gave my grandma a black eye one time.
Oh,
And ironically, I've had chronic pain since a child. I've got multiple mental and physical diagnoses. And ironically, whenever I was 12 years old, I had a scoliosis surgery. Just 4 weeks after I found out that I had severe scoliosis. And I have had so much nerve damage from that surgery that I'm no longer ticklish.
well, there you go. So you doesn't bother you anymore, huh?
Right. So I find that pretty comical. But yeah, so consent is so important. Some people are like, oh, you're taking that way too seriously, or oh, people just need to get over it. No, it's so important.
Oh yeah, like
For so many
even
reasons. And some
well,
people
even
don't know that they don't know. So that's why we're talking about this, because people need to know, we're getting better and smarter every day, and we have to correct ourselves on things that we could do better.
yeah, and I agree. I think it's very important because we do, especially in the South, right? Like in the South, like
Oh my
everybody's like,
God.
"Oh, here, come here,"
Yes.
little kids are like, "Here, let me kiss you, let me, whatever," and I'm like, "No," like with my kids and stuff, I'm like, "No, we're not kissing my child in the face, like we're not doing that." You know what I mean? Like I'm like, "I'm sorry," and they're like, "Well, I just want it on its cheek," and I'm like, "No, no, please don't, please don't do that." You know what I mean? And maybe when they get a little bit older, you can ask them, but they're probably gonna. And
Yeah.
my daughter's like, "Yeah, no," So there's nothing wrong with teaching children that, and it starts at home, right? It starts at home. So if you have that
Oh,
respect, hey,
yes.
hey, such and such, hey, Becca, is it okay to hug you? Is it okay to, and the sitting on the lap thing, like, yeah, let's not, you know what I mean? Like, let's,
Oh my
let's, let's
gosh.
just not do that, because when we teach children to do that, and I've seen it happen, I've seen it at family events, I've
Yes,
seen it with
ma'am.
friends. They'll learn that they can, and the thing is, it might be safe at home, right? It might be absolutely pure,
Yes, Summer.
innocent,
Yes.
safe. There's nothing wrong with that. But unfortunately, what happens is you'll go to an event or something, and I'll see kids, they'll just kind of jump on somebody's lap, and not everybody is who everybody's at home. So if
Oh my
you have
gosh.
that kind of
Yeah.
relationship, explain that with your child, like, hey, you know what, in home it's okay to jump on daddy or mommy or whatever, but like when we go outside and we go to Suzanne's house or whoever's house or whatever we do, have that conversation with that child and say, you don't jump on everybody else's lap. If somebody tries to put you on their lap, just tell them, no, my mommy and daddy says I'm not allowed to sit on people's lap. That was the rule in our house. You know what I mean? And we had
Yes,
those
Summer.
conversations
Yes.
because it's okay for me and my husband, you know what I mean? Because we're not hurting our children, So like if we're sitting here playing with them and we know our kids. So if they don't want to feel like they
Right.
don't want to do something, we're not going to force them to do it. But to have
Yes.
that initial conversation, hey, when we go somewhere, don't go sitting on everybody's lap. We don't do that. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
innocent because little kids are just being little kids and they should be able to
Yes.
be innocent. But unfortunately, we live in a world where, like the thief in the night, people like coming and taking babies' innocence. So,
Yeah.
we want to try to guard that as much as
Yeah.
possible.
People will use children's high comfort levels as a foot in the door to groom children.
Yep.
And the child will think, oh, well, my grandfather, my cousin or whatever forces me to do this. So, I've just learned that it's okay and I shouldn't say anything and they're just being nice. And grooming children is a serious issue, and that stems from how you parent your children as well, about what they're going to allow other people to do to them or what they think is not such a big deal. And oh my gosh, I can think of so many examples in my life where I was like, dang, I really should not have been so comfortable with that. I should not have been okay with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and another thing I think, because I think about back when I was even a young little girl to young teenager or whatever, and there would be times that I would feel like I was in these uncomfortable situations. Like, I'm like, you know what I mean? But, it was like, well, this keeps on happening and no one's, really paying attention and nobody's listening. Be vocal with your children. Have those honest conversations. Make spaces to where they can come and talk to you. And I tell you this all the time, name the proper body parts.
Yes.
Please name the proper
education.
Yes, education can happen at all ages.
Kids are not stupid.
No.
They are just little sponges. They absorb so much, and they are capable of understanding. Sometimes children, a lot of the times children are more understanding and accepting than adults. And you can really teach children a lot just by treating them like they're a human, not be, oh, I just because I told you so, or
right.
Or that's because what mom says. Like, teach them. They need to know why things are okay, why they're not, why is this way, why is this that way, they're just little mini adults. They're
well, if we explain it to them, that we know they're hopefully being taught right, and if we don't explain it to them, then someone else that probably won't teach them the right way will explain it to them. So please talk to your children.
Teaching them the language to be able to explain, hey, this happened to me, because sometimes children will say things and you're like, I don't really understand what you're talking about, because everything is just so watered down that your child doesn't have the language to say what is going on.
Jess said, or the classic, oh, just hug your uncle. He's just a drunk, and forget he's already hugged. Yeah.
Yes, Jessie.
Big time. And I talk about that a lot of times, we, sometimes just the family dynamic of toxicity can just go on for generations. That drunk uncle that may have done things to other people in the household, instead of telling him to leave and not show up to Christmas events, we tell the children, oh, just either don't go around him, or, oh, he's fine, keep going around him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, instead, as a family unit, that this person is toxic. This person's it just doesn't need to be around children.
Yeah.
Have them leave. Start speaking up and protecting your children, because if he did it to you, and he did it to your sisters, or he did it to your brothers, or he did it to your, whoever, cut that toxicity off of the family, because once you have children and you become that adult, you're that protector of those children. And if you know what's going on, don't force your children to be in situations just because. And I've seen people do that.
Yes. And we also, me and you definitely both are aware that it's not always the strangers, the people that are closest to you.
Yeah. Well, that's who first did my abuse, was the people close to me. Yeah. I mean, I think we both can say that, some of our initial abuse came from people that were in close vicinity. For me, it wasn't necessarily like immediate family, but it was definitely people that were by the immediate family. You know what I mean? So it's we just have to do it. We can do a better job at this stuff, so, and it really, yes, some of it is going to have to conquer our own fears and speak up on maybe things that happened, or even if you don't speak up, just don't put your family or children in those situations. If you're not ready to speak up and say, hey, this is what happened. I get that. I do, because a lot of people don't believe you. They'll tell you that you're lying. They'll tell you all this different stuff. And in all honesty, you're not lying. And
Yeah.
so if you're not ready to speak up and deal with all that, just protect your family, your loved ones, your husband, your wife, whatever that may be, your children, obviously. And
Yeah.
just, you don't have to go to situations. You don't have to go to family events just
Yeah.
because. If you're not, it's that not your safe spot, don't go.
Yeah. There's also, so many signs. For example, speaking about trafficking victims, also look out for other people. I can think of multiple times that I've seen drunk men being too rough with a female.
Mm-hmm.
And me going to the bathroom, seeing her in there and be like, hey, I saw that there was a little bit of aggression going on. I just wanted to make sure that you're safe.
Yep.
Things like that, just looking out for other people as well. But yeah, a lot of people have an issue. Well, gosh, just the culture plays a big part in this too. People have issues with communication, saying things, with vulnerability, or speaking about their own emotions. And the more open and honest we can be, the better, even if it's so hard. But there's so many techniques that we can practice to be better about that. And one thing that I really find interesting is a practice with professional cuddling. It's not just touch. It's learning to speak for yourself, being vulnerable, making eye contact. So the practice of eye gazing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are really uncomfortable with that, and it can be kind of silly. Some people, you just look at them and they feel so seen that they just cry.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about touch, but there are so many people that are deprived from any support system at all, but especially touch. And touch is so important to just being a human naturally,
Right.
biologically. It is so important. So why is it so common for us to make sure that babies and young children are held and loved on? Because they will not grow and develop
Right.
if they are not nurtured with touch. And we have seen enough psychological studies with chimpanzees, et cetera, et cetera. You have to
Right.
have love in a physical way.
We're
Even
not
if
created to be by ourselves, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it is so common and understood for children, but not for adults.
Right.
And there are so many people who are alone in a nursing home. There are people working so many crazy hours. They can't have a relationship. They've been divorced. They've been widowed, especially.
Yeah.
That is so hard. And people don't always want some sort of sexual encounter.
Right. Right.
People go to dance clubs. People go to the same restaurant every single day to talk to a person there that they really are comfortable with, that will give them a hug. People go to so many different measures just for one touch.
Right. Well, I think it's when I've heard of it before, like doing what I do, it's very important to learn about all different types of therapy you can, right? Because
Yes.
when you're dealing with so many different people and so much different trauma and so many different, everything, I think it's really good, to have so many different outlets. And I think that's one thing that is really beautiful in the last couple of years is I've watched the need for it for it to grow, of not just going and sitting on a chair talking to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, why, yes, I do think that no matter what you do, there should be something or someone in that aspect that you trust that you can go see and talk to.
Yes.
But like you said, the cuddling therapy, like I think it's a very unique thing. And I think that for people that it's going to work for, I think it's going to be amazing. And I think that it's really, like I said, I think it's cool just having so many different things, because whether it's art therapy, whether it's cuddling therapy, music therapy, tattoo therapy, I do that a lot.
Yeah.
something that, whatever that is in that moment, to get those endorphins going and to start that healing process and getting you to feel like you're in a safe place again, whatever that may be. Don't cancel things out just because maybe it's not something you're used to. I tell people, keep an open mind, and if it's something that is you're interested in, look it up. You can definitely look into it.
Yes.
I'm having issues here. I want her to know I'm here. Oh, your mom's here, Ruthie.
Yes. Hi, Mom. Love you.
Hey,
You're a
Mom,
bad bitch.
you're a warrior, honey. How are you doing, beautiful? Ruthie's here. She says, let's see.
Shout out to my mom.
Listening, love you. She said, having issues here. I want her to know I'm learning. Summer, she's my daughter. Aww. Look at that. We got powerhouse survivors everywhere. And just I want to say, Miss Ruthie, it's nice to meet you, beautiful. I heard amazing things about you and how much of a warrior you are, and how that you put your kids first, and that's really important. And you did that, and you deserve just the biggest hug. You know what I mean? So just keep on doing what you're doing, beautiful.
And she's still doing it now.
That's beautiful.
She always puts me and my sister first. Always.
That's a beautiful thing, to be able to have that in your journey. You know what I mean? That's important.
Also, I want to shout her out too for there was growing up and going to public school. Our house was a safe haven for a lot of other people who were experiencing abuse at home. Hey, my mom just beat me up. Can you and your mom come pick me up? And let me stay the night. And their parents didn't even care or know where they were or whatever. It's just, our house was a safe haven also. And it, not only dealing with your own trauma, raising your children, you're bringing other children or other adults also into your circle to love and heal. And
it's like community, man.
Yeah. Yes. I also wanted to say too that with the cuddling therapy, it's not just hey, I just meet this random person and we just go hold hands and stuff. There's a code of ethics. There's a lot of stuff that you're gonna go over with your cuddle practitioner before this happens. Like, hey, we need to make sure that we're on the same page. This is what this is. And also bodily autonomy. You have the right to speak up about anything, and I have the right to stop the session at any time. You have the right to stop the session at any time also.
Yeah.
It's if anything, I mean, it's screened kind of more seriously than if you were to just go see a psychiatrist for the first time.
Yeah.
And we cuddle practitioners are trained, and that whenever you are about to spend time with a cuddle practitioner, that you're going to be in a safe space, and if you don't have anybody to practice or get touch from, like a best friend or a family member, that you're going to be in a safe space with someone who is not just a random person, not a family member. They are trained to do this, and it makes people feel really safe.
Right.
So that's there's one person that I have met personally that used to do cuddle therapy but doesn't anymore. And then there is one other person that I'm aware of in the state of Kentucky. But I really would like to make this seriously more available, more people to know, because in the next 10 years, there's going to be a lot more cuddle practitioners. It's going to be a lot more common. But I would love to eventually have my own, my own office space, rental space. I would like to train other people as well. I really want to be a part of making people aware of how serious and important
yeah, 100%. I think,
Yeah,
yeah, I
and
think,
Kentucky's very behind on a lot of those things. There are a lot of
yeah.
other progressive states like Oregon, Washington State, things like places like that this people wouldn't have the same judgments about it and assumptions about it that they would here in
Well,
Kentucky.
I find that people only judge things they're fearful of. And I mean, I think
Yes,
things are
ma'am.
important, right? Because like Michelle says in here, she said, I tripped my therapist out. I got on the floor, I put my head in my knees and started crying. He didn't know what to do. We have to
Wow.
have a lot of different outlets, you know what I mean? Because
Yes.
there's times that there's certain things that you may need. I have a lot of different outlets that I use, to keep me somewhat together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm still a mess. And I think I want, for me, I think me being so open when I'm having good days and bad days, I think that in itself is even a part of my therapy, right? Because
Yes.
I never want people to think, oh, well, summer's arrived and everything's great. Like, no, honey, because give me 2 days or give, something, things are
Yeah.
going to happen. And it's good to get in. Why talking to a therapist is, especially, I would always say trauma informed. Make sure that if you're going to see a
Yes.
psychologist, that they are specialized in being trauma informed, but also having those other outlets, whether it's cuddle therapy, whether it's tattoo therapy, whether it's music, art, horse
Yes.
therapy, because now that was something when I had my shelter open, that was a big thing that I got into towards the end with the women, was taking them. A friend of mine, she has a rescue farm and she did animal
Yes.
therapy. And oh my goodness, you know what I mean? Like with the baby goats and the horses, and just hell, I had a dog that literally, I mean, it's so crazy. This dog, me and him put our heads together, and it was he held some of my childhood trauma that day, and I was not expecting that. You know what I mean? It just out of left field. So you just never know what in that moment it might be. So don't, just because it doesn't sound like it's not the thing
Yeah.
everyone's doing or whatever. It doesn't matter if it sounds interesting to you. If cuddle therapy is something you, especially if you're in the Louisville area, if it's something you're interested in, reach out to me. I'll get you hooked up, and you guys can have a conversation. She
Right.
knows what she's doing. Again, this is not sexual. This is boundary. This is beautiful. And sometimes learning to be able to touch and hug and or just eye contact or any whatever may be in that session. So if there is people out there that says, hey, like if anyone decides this is maybe something up their sleeve, again, reach out to me. I'll make sure that we get hooked up with
Yeah.
this
And
beauty right here. If anyone hugged me or acted like that actually cared for me, I would bawl. I would absolutely fall
oh,
apart and cry. And
yeah.
yeah, healing's a roller coaster, man. It is. And when you're not used to people being nice, or you're not used to taking
Yeah.
compliments, or you're not used to, all that stuff is very learning, and it's very, and then you'll get to a plateau, and then because life has a beautiful way of dressing up and putting a bow on it, and then somebody coming and snatching that gift wrapper right off.
Yeah.
you know um and then sometimes it can, you'll right back in a situation. And for me, my healing journey has been ongoing. It's going to
Oh, it will
continue.
always be ongoing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that, because in the beginning I used to, like, I felt like I had this marker to meet, and I had this,
Right.
like everybody's like, come on, somewhere, da, da, da. And I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
wait, wait. I stop allowing the pressure of other things and people to, in my own mind too, because even
Yeah.
though maybe certain things might not have been that way, in my mind it was, because of different past traumas and different things like that. And so I've gotten very, very familiar with my monsters in my brain sometimes, and
Yeah.
we've gone through some journeys together, and I love where I'm at, and I love seeing where you're at, because
Yeah.
what that tells other people is people that have been through things, and your mom, you know what I mean? Like where
Yeah.
she's at. Not only was she able to pull herself out of that, pull you guys out of that, create safe spaces for other teenagers and other people that needed that. That's
Yeah.
a lot, because I'm the same way. I'm the safe house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have 10 children, and at any point in time through those 10 children's life, we could have had 15, 20 kids in our house, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
hanging out. And I was cool with that, because it's like, they're here, they're safe, they're
Yeah.
not getting in trouble. Cool. You know what I mean? So, and I've always, kind of been that way, but I just, I really appreciate you come on and sharing the things that you've shared. And girl, don't worry about it. If people are like, oh, that cuddle therapy, that's weird. Cool. You know what?
Right.
Weird shit works sometimes, people.
Yeah.
So,
Also to be
and
entirely
it's not weird to me at all. I think
well,
it's beautiful.
I am in training. I am not officially certified to be 100% transparent. I don't want
Right,
people
right.
thinking like, oh yeah, I'm like, let's go ahead and do this thing or
Well,
whatever.
it's a
It's
process.
not
You're
like
learning.
it's not like that, y'all.
Right, but in the what could happen is if there are people that interested while you're learning as well and while you're becoming certified and things like that, you can conversations are nothing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like conversations are a beautiful thing, and get people to understand. Mom said, "Girl, it was hard. Trust me, honey. I know. I got some." Get
Yeah.
it. So I get it, but but to see, and this is why I have the show, right? It's
Yes.
not to really focus on like all the graphic as what I would call trauma porn, right? Because
Right.
we've all got our trauma porn, and we have as a society to where most people won't listen unless it's you oozing out that trauma porn. So I'm trying to change it up a little bit and go, okay, yes, why some of that's important because you want to give a backstory because I believe that's what makes us experts is unfortunately the
Yeah.
things we've been through. But I also wanted to give platforms where many different people could come on and just talk about, yeah, this is what I've been through. This is how I got out of it. And this is what I'm doing now, because people need to see that. And especially
People
in
need
this climate
hope.
and this day, sometimes it just feels like the world is just boom, 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 beating everybody,
Yeah.
but when you kind of, and who knows, one of our stories or all of the shows that we do may relevate, may educate people, and that makes it even better. You know what I mean?
Yes.
She said, your mom said, thank you so much. Becca is amazing, and I'm learning from her. Not
Mhm.
gonna lie, cuddle therapy scares me, and I guess for what I've been through, and I can understand
Yeah.
that. I can completely 100 understand why mom would think that, or anybody that would think that, right? But I think again, trusting the process sometimes, being a little uncomfortable sometimes to learn the proper things. Sometimes because of past trauma, it can scare us a little bit on things,
Oh
but
yeah.
Mom, am very, very, very confident that you raised one hell of a young woman right here and that you have done an amazing job. And there is no doubt about it. And she's got a bunch of warriors around her too. So, and one being her mother. So, I think it's going to be okay. I really do. I think it's going to be a beautiful journey. It's going to be a very beautiful thing to watch you, just kind of come into your sense about it and do your thing. I think it's always beautiful. I think that's my favorite part of all of this is just sitting back, being able to watch the journey. You know what I mean? With the storms, with the beauties, with the butterflies and rainbows and the cloudy days too, and then just watching the masterpiece just develop itself. I really think that's probably my favorite part of all this. So
Seeing what you are doing and have done, and like the other outreach leaders that I mentioned earlier in the video, that has given me so much hope. It's I am very thankful to be here right now in my space here, talking to you and other people seeing us as well. Like, cause man, we could be in so many different places right now, and I'm just like overwhelmed with happiness and like just feeling so grateful. And doing things like this, hearing other people's stories, et cetera, you have to keep exposing yourself to things that are going to give you hope, because you can backslide so easily.
Yep.
And it keeps, whenever you're constantly reinforcing all these good things, speaking out loud, hearing, you're reinforcing, hope and progress and love. And yeah, we can end up in a really dark spot if we don't keep reminding ourselves that there are good things to be hopeful for. There are so many good things that you can do. Yeah.
Well,
So
I
I'm
love
very
that you
happy
came
to
on.
be
I
in
love
Louisville.
that your mom showed up. Like that's, I think, and Jess said to watch Becca teach her mom is literally so beautiful. It is really. I can
Oh,
only imagine just just the interaction here with the, I mean, you guys, both you and your mom could come back any point in time. You guys want to come on and say, hey, I mean, anybody, you know what I mean? Like, this is really what it's about, right? Is showing everyday people that are doing extraordinary things. You know what I mean? Like, none of us, me, you, your mom, none of us we're all here. We're all humans. We're not no rich, like, like we're all just here, and we're getting by, and we're doing the best that we can, and we're trying to do as much positivity as we can. You know what I mean? And really just being there for people, right? And I really do. I think it's really a beautiful thing. And just thank you for coming up and sharing your story. And if you want to come back when you get for, doing your therapy stuff or anything, if there's ever something you just want to talk about, you're like, you know what, Summer, I got a topic we can talk about tonight. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Because that's the good thing about this being a survivor series is we control it. So whenever we decide we want to do something, is when we'll do it.
100%. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be able to talk to you finally after being aware of your existence for so long.
Oh, I'm a hot mess, girl. People are always like, they're like, oh, she's so nice now, but then other times she's crazy. I'm like, listen, people know who I am because I'm very transparent. I'm this way, and I'm this way all the time. Like,
yes,
but one thing I am is I care.
Traumatized individuals definitely have those two sides or multiple sides. You have your, I'm going to give you everything, I'm going to love you, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
You have that other side that is still, your fight or flight response is still very intact.
Yes, it is. I'm working on it, people. I'm working on it. All I can say is pray for me, light a candle, send me good energy. But yeah, that side is still full of vex. as most of you know that follow me, because every now and then I get on one of my little rants. So, but they're usually for good stuff. So that's how I look at it. Sometimes things need to be said.
100%.
So, well, alrighty, girl. I guess I'm gonna wrap this part up. And then, like I said, for all, if there anything you want to talk about, anything, I know you do a lot with kids. I do a lot of stuff with mental health, anything, like, be more than welcome to reach out and jump on again. I would love that.
Okay. Summer, you're amazing. And I have so much love for you. And thank you. This was fun.
It was fun. It was. And do you have any closing remarks that you would like to say?
That no matter whether I know you or not, I have so much love for all of you guys, and in a human connection kind of way. I don't have to know you to have love for you, and like, I love you so much, and I really hope that you are, in a really good place. I hope that if things aren't really going the way that you want right now, that I hope that you can find yourself in a better place. You don't have to feel perfect today, but like, I just really hope that people are having the best life as they possibly can, and that people like me and Summer exist, and we're not perfect, but there are people out here that are really, really interested in bettering themselves, educating themselves, and doing the physical work that it takes to make life easier for all of us. Because if this other person is hurting, if my neighbor is hurting, if my neighbor is lacking in any way, that is affecting all of us. As long we all need our basic human needs met. We all deserve love, to be accepted, to be seen, to be loved unconditionally, and like everyone is worth it. And I truly believe that some people can do the worst things. People do some horrific things that they would not do otherwise in a better state of mind, sober, et cetera, and like, there's hope. You can get better, you can feel better, you can have a better life. Like, there are people out there that are going to listen and understand where you're coming from, and give you the resources and help that you need. Yeah,
I agree. I agree. All right, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, and many blessings to you. And I will be talking to you very soon.
Yeah, you too, Summer. Have a beautiful rest of your night, okay?
All right, beautiful. You too.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
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 She's so awesome. Bye, beautiful. She's such a sweet girl. I like her a lot. I like her a lot. I love her coming on. She brings good, great energy. And her mother being here, Miss Ruthie, thank you for being here. And thank you for protecting your baby. Thank you for both for protecting your children, for walking with them and protecting other children. Just thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. as someone, as a child that was protected by someone else's mom as well, yeah, you're pretty awesome. um and Becca is amazing. And she is got a great personality. She's got a great outlook on things. And I think that you know learning different ways and different ways of healing and helping is amazing. And so I wish her all the well, and hopefully she'll come back and we'll talk some more stuff, because she's got a beautiful mind, and we can just keep on talking. So every single person, thank you, Jalen, thank you, Ruthie, thank you, Peace, thank you, Michelle. I see my girl Michelle. I'm gonna have to get you up here one day, girl. Woo! That's my baby. I love Michelle so much. Christine's in the house. Jay's in the house. Sunshine, everybody that came through tonight, even the people that may not be in the comments but were listening, please, first of all, hit that subscribe button if you have not. Hit that like button on your way out. That way we can get this video and this algorithm is up. Share it with your friends, share it with your family member. I think it was a great conversation tonight that needs to be shared. And we will be back. This is a series that I'm going to continue to keep going. So if you are somebody that has overcame something, if you are someone that has, whether it's human trafficking, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's rape, whether it's addiction, whatever it may be, and you want to share a little bit of your story and how you got out of it and what you're doing now, I think that would be amazing. And we would love to have you. You're more than welcome to inbox me on Facebook, or you can always email me if you would like at Sama Dickerson. Boom, there it is. That's my email. You're more than welcome to email me there. Or you can also, like I said, you can inbox me on Facebook and say, hey, I want to come on, and we'll figure it out. We'll talk it out. And, it's our show, so we can do it day, night, whatever works best for the speaker is when we'll do it. On that note, you guys, I think it's been a great show. Thank you so much. She takes after me. Good job. Good. Hey, that's a good thing. That's a beautiful thing. And you did a good job, Mom. You did a good job. She's a great young lady, and I'm just love to see where her journey is going to be taking her. On that note, everybody, I will talk to you guys soon. We will be back with another story on overcoming and solutions, right? Because we can talk about the problems all day long, but what I love about each one of our guests that come up on the show is each person is doing something, and that's the beautiful thing of it. We can sit in the problems, or we can see the problems and come up with solutions. So on that note, everybody have a wonderful night. Again, hit those lights, hit those hearts, get this algorithm up. People need to hear this message, and we'll see you soon. Bye.